Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dagoth Nerevar, does that say Dagoth Dalmatians? I don't run a fucking kennel. Are you going to start doing tricks for people on camera? What, do it again? Why? It's fine, Nerevar, just keep rolling. Okay, fuck it, fine. Okay, welcome to Dagoth Duration, I'm answering questions or whatever. What? Be more serious? I was being serious. What? I was hungry and you were busy playing with your camera. Okay, yeah, that's not gonna work. Welcome to Dagoth Duration. Today I'm answering the questions of our lovely patrons. First question on the list is from your local Foundation agent. The question reads, have you ever thought of doing more public relations sort of events to get the Dwemer of Morrowind to see what you're all about? Public showings of Akulakan? Starting your own holidays? Or pranking Vivek by floating around the cantons of Vivek City and misquoting each of the 36 lessons? Gotta get people inspired if they're going to help you drive the mongrel dogs of the Empire from Morrowind. Yes, of course. I have tried to do public appearances in the past, but every time I show up somewhere outside of the Red Mountain region, Vivek's temple cultists always seem to follow me. Difficult to keep people listening when I'm being harassed by brainwashed sycophants. So usually I use some of my followers to spread my message. As for pranking Vivek, he still hasn't figured out how that Daedroth got in his toilet. Our next question is from Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing. The question reads, as a scholar I would like to know, did you achieve CHIM prior to your return to Mundus? And if so, what does it feel like? I tried reading Vivek's description of it, but none of what he said made a lick of sense. Vivek is a pompous mop that just wants to posture, so that isn't surprising. However, I will admit that trying to explain CHIM to one that has never experienced it is quite difficult, if not impossible. It is like trying to describe color to a creature without eyes. There are no words for certain aspects of the feeling, I suppose. CHIM is a oneness with everything that is, was, will be, and perhaps ever could be. Imagine you've lived in a world of ice and snow your entire life, never knowing even a flicker of warmth. Suddenly you slip into a pool of warm, steamy water, and everything beyond this pool seems like a distant memory, a dream. The cold was an illusion, a lie, but to give in entirely to the warmth is also to die, to cease to be. This is but a grasping metaphor, but I do not have the years required to write 36 vague and confusing sermons about it. The next question is from Sloan Fallion, the man, the myth, the legend. The question reads, Yagrum Bagarn and I have been trying to settle a debate on the possibility of cliff racers being the cause of the disappearance of the dwarves. We believe the weight ratio is correct for a cliff racer to carry a dwarf, but we need to settle if a cliff racer could travel fast enough to scoop up all of the dwarves without the other races noticing. That said, my question is this. What is the airspeed velocity of an unladen cliff racer? Of the elsewhere variety. If we know that, we can add in the average weight values of a dwarf and adjust the velocity from there. What the fuck are you two talking about? Cliff racers couldn't... They don't even have arms. How would they get into... Okay, Yagrum is fucking with you. Or you're fucking with me. Either way, about 50 miles an hour. If you look like food, 60 miles an hour. Spoiler warning, everything looks like food to cliff racers. Next question. Socks Mink asks, I am currently running a D&D 5e game. The players are in a pocket dimension. The main villain of my campaign has claimed himself god of said plane by siphoning divine essence from other gods via their artifacts. Do I have your permission to include you in my D&D campaign and have an artifact that represents your religion the false god stole? If so, what may this artifact be? Sure, that sounds interesting. How about an amulet in 3 parts that are bound together by magic, in the shape of the symbol of the 6th house? So imagine the central piece of the symbol is connected to the necklace chain worn by the user. The other 2 pieces act as keys to unlock the font of power within the central well of the amulet. Once unlocked, it allows transfer of power directly from me, or incidentally the heart of Lorcan itself. This, of course, would only be a fraction of its power, but to sever the keys from the amulet would be to geld your villainous thief of his ill-gotten power. All right, the next question is from Opossum Supremacist. The question reads, what is your opinion on our most holy and sacred marsupial? Do you agree that opossums are the supreme animal? Lastly, the Order of the Opossum would like to know if after your successful conquest of Morrowind, and later Tamriel, with Nerevar at your side, will you mandate that every resident of Morrowind and your lordship adopt an opossum and take care of it under penalty of death? Well, from an evolutionary standpoint, opossum are very resistant to diseases and are extremely well adapted to survive in their environment, although their natural predator seems to be imperialist motor vehicles. Perhaps for their size, I agree, but I don't think it could defeat a bear in mortal combat. As for adoption, my goal is the restoration of the ancient glory of the Dwemer. Mandatory marsupials aren't exactly what I had in mind. Maybe we'll workshop it. Next question. E. Miller asks, how do I prevent Khajiit hair from getting into not only my floorboards, but also my hunting clothes? I've tried asking others, but they give me strange looks. Then the guards always arrive moments later, but they never have evidence to keep me locked up. Well, Miller, I suggest skinning them outside before trying to bring them in to cook. That solves the floorboards. As for the hunting clothes, dryer balls typically work well if you use them whenever you put your clothes in the dryer. It doesn't get all of it off, but it keeps it to a minimum. Their hair seems to shed more when they panic, so perhaps try to take them out before they see you coming. Dagoth on how to prepare your Akaviri ingredients. Anyway, on to the next question. Juno Hoslow, Sanguine Knight asks, I do hope you know that there are those of non-Dwemer blood such as myself who swear fealty to your godly power. What would you ask of us, your loyal followers? I salute you for your faithful service. Truly blame lies not with one's race but one's actions. Yes, many Altmer are pompous pricks, the Nords lawless thugs. The bestial races act hardly above their four-legged ancestors, and the Imperials believe themselves to be our masters. But in all races, individuals are those whom have heart, to step aside from the typical and stand for whom you wish to be. The Empire would take that from you, meld you into the whole and suck dry from us all that makes us unique. What I ask of you is this: believe not in the superstitions of false gods. When the time comes, stand with me and we shall grind the mongrel dogs of the Empire into the dirt. And when they are as dust, we shall be free of these shackles. Our next question is from Weird Little Plague Possum. The question reads, about our beloved Nerevar. He is known to reincarnate and is currently an Argonian. Have you considered employing defenestration on this incarnation and any future ones until he returns as a superior race, such as a Dwemer or a possum? Thus far, this is the first incarnation that has not opposed me. Heck, if I'm being honest, his girlfriend has been more of a threat to my plans than any of his incarnations ever have been. And she was my slave. While yes, he is a lazy, smelly reptile whom refuses to clean the copious cans of Netchbull off his desk, which are beginning to attract ants. There is no guarantee that the next incarnation won't simply become a brainwashed puppet of the tribunal. Next question is from Gojira Tanaka the Avali. The question is, Lord Dagoth are you aware of the multiverse? If by the multiverse, you are referring to the dragon break caused by events that unfold in some unforeseen way, then yes. Though I am unsure as to how these folds weave back together, it often creates confusing, paradoxical events. But I suppose it's caused by the power of free will we each have constantly butting heads with one another. Perhaps the divine spark of reality simply dislikes our chosen paths and feels it must correct, for a lack of a better term, our errors. Perhaps somewhere out there a Vorin Dagoth sits around a fire with 4 friends, sharing memories of the distant past. But it is not my choice that has led us to this, and so I shall focus on the here and the now. Next question. Connor Runda asks, Dearest Lord Daddy Goth, you last said I was like a small animal eaten by a Khajiit. What animal do you think I am? I imagined something akin to a meerkat popping its head up out of the grass to look around for predators. Perhaps it burrows under the stumps of fallen trees like a fox making a den. It scampers from hole to hole, looking for food while cleverly disguised from predators. It fears not the wild animal, but that thing, the Khajiit. It scares the wild Konorunda. Our next question is from Young Mystery Main. The question reads, Lord Dagoth does it ever get hard having such a handsome lizard as a friend? Does his Riz ever create awkward situations at the club? First, what in oblivion is Riz? Oh, it's short for charisma, is it? That's definitely not the image that word invokes, but whatever. Second, Nerevar used to be almost as handsome as myself when he was a Dwemer, but Azura didn't do him any favors this time around. I mean, really. Green scales, giant oversized eyes, webbed feet. If I could actually drag Nerevar, probably tooth and nail, away from his computer, and a fine Dwemer woman stood up me, Dagoth for an Argonian, I'd have to assume it was a prank. Besides, Nerevar seems to prefer that his women beat him over the head with a club and drag him to the bed. Next question is from Aladale. The question is, Lord Dagoth, have you not considered hiring some sort of daycare service to manage Nerevar and Niue? I'm sure it would be cheaper than the damage they do to Dagoth the volcano, on a daily basis. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't think a maximum security prison with barbed wire, soul gem traps, and 100 heavily armored guards posted just outside their cell could contain the pure, liquid, explosive chaos that is those two Argonians. No matter who I contract to contain them, I'd likely wake up to find them back in the mountain, using plastic storage boxes as ships and actual cannons, playing battleship in the tub whilst blowing holes in the wall. Next, Sotha Sil, the Magus asks, Vorin, were you aware that Nerevar was somehow able to find a way to break into the Clockwork City and has since been using up my internet plan? I only noticed Nerevar's scheme after I began to receive a lot of strange invoices and spam mail. Tell Nerevar that for old time's sake, I'll allow him to share my internet plan for the next month. But also let him know that I have since turned on the parental controls over his internet access. First, Sil, I don't have a credit card. Second, if you were actually able to stop him with parental controls, he likely wouldn't use it anymore, for obvious reasons. Third, if Nerevar actually managed to hack into your city's network and steal your internet plan, do you really think turning on parental controls is going to stop him? I think not. But to answer your question, no, I was not aware. When it comes to Nerevar's wild internet adventures, I choose ignorance. Next question is from Hayden, no last name. It reads, are you wearing that mask because you're too ugly to show your face, or do you just enjoy the sound of your voice echoing around in a clay urn? Asking for a friend. Riveting. No more than you hide behind that picture of a frog to hide your sad existence. I'm sure the echo of my mask is familiar to you as well, much like the echo you hear every night in the bathroom as you jack off to your only friend in the mirror. What, he started it? Okay, fine, I'll answer it. The mask is a symbol so that every Dwemer might recognize me. Were I to look as a commoner or any other highborn mer, it would not have the impact I desire. Also, yes, the booming echo is an excellent dramatic effect. Our final question comes from Mr. Grimm. Lord Dagoth, how are you a god with great powers and a kick-ass mask, but yet you have no maidens? It feels as though you are exaggerating your abilities and weaving a false tale. Are you implying that it requires supernatural power and charisma to woo women? Besides, I am a god. I do not have the time to be seduced by the feminine wiles of she-elf thoughts. Besides, women of this era seem to prefer the company of their 15-plus beta-orbiters that treat them like their queen Baron Zaya herself, whilst she ignores them and goes down on some 15-inch orc in the back room. The moral of the story, women are temporary. The glory of Morrowind is eternal. Before we close out this video, I'd like to give a special thanks to all of you whom asked such excellent questions. Sir Gideon Ofnir, the all-knowing, your local Foundation agent, Sloan Fallion, Sox Mink, Opossum Supremacist, E. Miller, Juno Hoslo Sanguine Knight, Weird Little Plague Possum, Gojira Tanaka the Avali, Connor Runda, Young Mystery Mane, Aladale, Sothasil the Magus, Hayden no last name, and Mr. Grimm. And thank you to the rest of Nerevar's friends whom support him. Gothzilla, Dr. Popcorn Chicken, Josh Arim, Busty Brightson, Clifford Frost, Shea Gorath, Thomas Vuong, Maxwell Ferris, Jameson Trauger, Certified Hyena, Aristo Rat, Thomas Vasquez, Dr. Clit Oris, Rurk, Lord Heater, Marinimer Tavash of House Redoran, Feather and Scales, Jez Indoral, Deadbeat Ronan, No One at All, Shaddy Club, Juralek Telvani, and Michigan Hoplite. Let's see here. In the next video, I will be reading Nerevar's spicy fan fiction about his friends. Now wait just a damn minute, I didn't agree to that.